When we imagine medieval Europe, Hollywood offers castles, knights, and quests. But reality was far bleaker, especially for the average person. The fall of the Roman Empire plunged Europe into what many call the Dark Ages, a 1,000-year grind of disease, war, superstition, and suffering. Society was rigidly divided by feudalism. If you were born a peasant, you'd likely die a peasant, bound to the land, ruled by lords, and taxed into starvation. You worked endless hours for scraps, while nobles lived in luxury. The social pyramid wasn't just steep, it was a stone prison. Disease was constant. Before science or sanitation, medieval cities were breeding grounds for plague. Streets doubled as sewers. Waste flowed freely, rats thrived, and people bathed maybe once a month, if at all. The Black Death alone wiped out nearly half of Europe's population in just a few years. Doctors wore bird-like plague masks filled with flowers, not because it helped, but to block the stench of death. Life expectancy hovered around 30. That's if you survived childhood, which most didn't. Childbirth was dangerous, and infants often died from disease. Children who did live were often forced to work from age 5, cleaning, farming, or learning trades in brutal apprenticeships. Education was reserved for the clergy and nobility. Most commoners couldn't read or write, and the church controlled information. The Bible was read only in Latin, so faith became a tool of fear. Disobey, and you risked eternal damnation, or earthly punishment. Women had almost no rights. They were property of fathers or husbands, married off as early as 12, expected to bear children and obey. Accused of witchcraft? You could be drowned, hanged, or burned, all in the name of divine justice. Public executions were community events. They were meant to inspire obedience through horror. And then there were the wars. Endless conflicts ravaged Europe, from the 100 Years' War to brutal Viking raids. But the Crusades were perhaps the most devastating, centuries of religiously fueled warfare that saw European armies marching to the Holy Land, killing tens of thousands in the name of God. These weren't clean battles between noble warriors. They were sieges, massacres, and mass starvation. You might think the castles offered protection, but even inside stone walls, life was cold, damp, and full of disease. Fire was the only heat source, but smoke choked the halls. Food spoiled quickly, and meat was often rotten, masked by heavy spices if you were rich, or simply eaten as is if you weren't. Justice was primitive. Trial by ordeal was common. Walk over hot coals, hold a burning iron, or survive a dunking. If you were innocent, God would protect you. If not, well, you were guilty anyway. Superstition ruled over logic, and the church dictated truth. Scientists, philosophers, and early thinkers had to work in secret or face heresy charges. Even art and culture were stifled, limited to religious themes and elite commissions. Most people lived and died without ever hearing music, seeing a painting, or learning a single idea beyond prayer, obedience, and survival. For them, medieval Europe wasn't a fantasy, it was a slow, grinding nightmare.